Hey YouTube, Carrot Twig here, bringing you all my Hungry Burger Nouvelle Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post-Wild Survivors. Hungry Burger finally made the impossible possible and was given a full deck to utilize its power of a card. This deck is just meant to ritual summon out a bunch of different Nouvelle monsters with their chef ritual spells, and then being able to special summon out other monsters onto the field using those cards as well. Hungry Burger has an additional effect that works pretty funnily with one of the counter traps we have in the deck, being able to basically eat all of your opponent's monsters with its card effect. And overall, the deck just focuses on being able to special summon out these many different monsters for you to use with all the many different ritual monsters that we have for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ritual monsters, we're running one copy of Hungry Burger. It's really all you need. This card is searchable with plenty of cards that we run in the deck, and then you just can utilize it with our other monsters that we run in the deck also. It is the go-to card in the deck, just being able to have your main setup of what this deck revolves around for its entirety. So just the one copy, like I said, easy search power for everything else in the deck. We're also running two copies of Poultice de Nouvelles. You can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. If this card is special summoned, you can draw one card, and when a card or effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, or when a monster is targeted for an attack quick effect, you contribute one Nouvelle's monster you control and one attack position monster on either field. And if you do, special summon one level 4 or 5 Nouvelle's ritual monster from your hand or deck. You can only use each effect of Poultice de Nouvelles once per turn. So this card just has the tribute power that can take your opponent's monsters while also being able to special summon other Nouvelle rituals from your hand or deck onto the field as well. It's the 2 of copy just because we also have the draw power when it's special summoned to at least consistently keep cards in your hand for you to use with your other Nouvelle cards. We're also running 2 copies of Barilla Base de Nouvelles, with this card being our level 1 ritual monster. You can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. If it's special summon, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. If you do, you can add one excavated Nouvelle's card to your hand and shuffle the rest of the deck. And when a card or effect is activated that targets this card in the field, or when this card is targeted for an attack is activated with this card, quick effect, you can tribute this card to add and one attack position monster on either field. 2 special summon one level 2 or 3 Nouvelle's ritual monster from your hand or deck. You can use each effect of Barilla Base de Nouvelles once per turn. So it has access to some of the other cards like Poultice de Nouvelles. Say when it's special summoned, so even if it's special summoned off of Barilla Base de Nouvelles, you'll still get the draw power that this card can provide. And once again, being able to tribute your opponent's cards if necessary. We're also running 1 of copies for the Balgril de Nouvelles, the Balamanouer de Nouvelles, and the Conferes de Nouvelles, having all different ritual options using these cards in the deck. Having the recipe cards to special summon them all, adding a card with Nouvelle or recipe when you summon out Balamanouer de Nouvelles, and then having the option to target a spell or trap with Conferes de Nouvelles and destroy it. And then with Belgril de Nouvelles, you can have negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. So all different options depending on what you want to summon out with these cards, and then the tribute effect to special summon other cards. Balgril de Nouvelles is a very important one because with this one you have the special summon power of 1 Hungry Burger from your hand or deck onto the field. So this card can give you access to your Hungry Burger on the field, with this card being able to target an attack position monster your opponent controls and tribute it to give you that special summon for your go-to boss monster. For some other more generic ritual cards, I want to focus this deck also on cards that you can easily access from the Wild Survivor set. So 2 copies of Incantation Chalice Slime. You can ritual summon this card with Incantation Inception, and you can reveal this card in your hand, discard 1 card, and if you do, special summon 1 Incantation monster from your deck, and also during the end phase, lose 2,500 life points if you did not special summon a ritual monster this turn after you resolve this effect. And you can send 1 Incantation card from your hand or face on the field to the graveyard to target 1 monster your opponent controls and destroy it. It's search and special summon power whether or not you summon out Chalice Slime. It gives you access to the other incantation monsters that we run in the deck to then give you the additional search power that you can use with those cards when it's special summoned from the effect of your Chalice Slime. And for the effect monsters, 3 copies of Diviner of the Herald. If it's normal or special summon, you can send 1 fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. And if you do, increase this card's level by that monster's level until the end of this turn. And if this card's tributed, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck. You mostly use this card to send and set up the Herald of the Arclight from the extra deck to give you additional search, and then also increase the level of Diviner of Herald on the field. This card's also a tuner, so it can give us access to some synchro plays if we wish, using the other monsters we run in the deck with the wide variety of levels that they have also. Also, the 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hands for more search power, whether it be for a ritual spell or a ritual monster. We have all that access, especially since we have a wide variety of ritual spells, whether it be our fish recipe or our meat recipe. We have plenty to search for with this card, and even the incantation lineup with our monsters also. For the rest of the main deck monsters, 1 copy of Pencil Plume, 1 copy of Candle, Talismandra, and Bookstone as well. We have the special summon power with our Chalice Slime to summon out any of these cards onto the field, and then the additional search power, whether it be from the deck using cards like our Candle or Talismandra, or from the graveyard with cards like Pencil Plume or Bookstone, and then having that additional special summon power if you just have this card in your hand to begin with. That is it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I do want to run 3 copies of Voci La Carte, or Today's Menu. With this card, you reveal 2 Nuval monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 for you to add to your hand and shuffle the other into your deck. Then you can add 1 of these cards from your deck to your graveyard or graveyard to your hand based on the monster type added. If you added a Beast Warrior, you can add a Fish recipe. If it's a Warrior, you can add 1 Reset de Viande or Meat recipe from your deck to your hand. So you have the Ritual and Beast Warrior monsters all lined up for different ones to search out depending on the one you need to go for, with the monsters needing a specific ritual if it's also based on what food they used to summon them out. So then you have the fish search or the ritual search, and you can only activate 1 Today's Menu per turn, but as a menu it introduces you to the dish you want to use in the deck as well. So a definite 3 of just being search power depending on the ritual spell we can add to our hand also. And I also want to run 3 of the field spell, the Nouvelles Restaurant at table. When it's activated, you can add 1 recipe card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and once per turn, you can place 1 ritual monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card, and once per turn during your end phase, you can target 2 cards in your graveyard, including a recipe card, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and draw 1 card. So the at table field spell just gives you plays to at least be able to recycle the recipe cards back into our deck, and then being able to also, since it says just 2 cards, including a recipe, you can summon back some of the monsters as well to then shuffle back and give you more draw power while having additional searches to use the following turn. I also run the 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. It just adds 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. So more search power with this card, just being able to add any of the good majority of ritual monsters, including Chalice Slime if we wish, with this card. And then if we have a ritual spell in our graveyard, we can add those back as well. And the 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites for being able to add a ritual spell from our deck to our hand, and then 1 monster from our deck or graveyard whose name is mentioned on that ritual spell. It's mostly for the ritual spell search, but still very useful for adding them to our hand. And then also the actual ritual spells that we run. I run 2 copies of Recette de Poisson, or Fish Recipe. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nouvelles ritual monster. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster that you ritual summon. Then if you ritual summoned a Burrow Base de Nouvelle, you can apply the following effects to add a recipe ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So using the Burrow Base de Nuval, being the go-to summon off of this card, being this level 1 monster, gives us a search then, excuse me, for the additional search for 1 of our recipe rituals, being the next ritual in the lineup, which is our Recette de Viande, or Meat recipe. It can be used to summon any Nouvelle ritual, and then also if you use it to summon Conferis de Nouvelle, you can apply the following effects. Conferis de Nouvelle is the other lower level 1, being able to change all defense monsters your opponent currently controls to attack position, giving you more of a tribute access for your opponent's cards for you to then use. And then for the rest of the spell, it's just the one copy of Incantation Inception for the ritual option to summon out any incantation monster. And then this gives us the play for summoning out Chalice Slime if we wish to on the field. For the trap cards, I run 2 copies of Chef's Special Recipe, a counter trap when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Nouvelle's ritual monster. Negate the activation and destroy that card if you control a monster that was special summoned by the effect of a Nouvelle's monster. And if you special summon Hungry Burger, you can banish this card from your graveyard to tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible. This can just take out all of your opponent's monsters if you have the Hungry Burger, which you summon out with your Balgré de Nuval onto the field with this card being already set up in the graveyard also. And then lastly, to finish off the main deck, the 1 copy of the Recette de Personnel or Staff Recipe, Continuous Trap. You can target 1 ritual monster you control, special summon 1 Nouvelle's token onto the field with 50 attack and 50 defense, level 1. This token's level becomes the same as the monsters, and you can send this face-up card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard to ritual summon 1 Nouvelle's ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal exactly the level of that ritual monster, giving you more of a ritual summon for a Nouvelle's ritual monster onto the field as well using this card. Moving on now to the extra deck, I run the 2 copies of Herald of the Arclight, so we have additional search sends off of the Diviner of Herald to then get an additional ritual or ritual spell search from our deck to our hand. And also the 1 copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Chaos Angel, and 1 Baron de Fleur for the Diviner of Herald level adjustment, and then the additional monsters we can run to then synchro summon into some of these boss monster cards. And then also the 2 copies of Elder Entity for the destruction power that you can send off of Diviner if you don't need the ritual search. And then for the Link monsters, 1 copy of Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, along with 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Apollosa, and the 1 Access Code Talker for more of the generic lineup to be able to go into with this deck also. As for some of the go-to plays, ritual summoning is a big part, in case you didn't realize, of this deck, and getting out the Hungry Burgers we can use with some of the additional cards like our trap lineup. So if you have the search power, whether it be through your today's menu, revealing 2 Nouvelle monsters with different names from your deck, and then it all goes through that play. So you can reveal the Barrel-Base de Nouvelle, and then also the Conferis de Nouvelle off of this card. Your opponent chooses 1, and then you shuffle the other into the deck, then add 1 of these cards to your deck based on the monster added. So you have the Warrior or the Beast Warrior. So then you activate this card your opponent chooses, depending on which one they add to your hand. You'll then get the additional search. So since you added a Beast Warrior, let's say off of this example, you will add Fish Recipe to your hand. And then you can ritual summon any Nouvelle ritual with this card and tribute monsters from your hand or field who you ritual summon. Then if you summon out your Barrel-Base de Nouvelle, you can apply the following effects. So then you can summon out your Nouvelle. All you need is the tribute of a monster. So whether your normal summon consists of Diviner of Herald, you have one of the Incantations, or Manju, you can either summon out that card or have the additional monster, it can even be another Nouvelle, in your hand to tribute for the summon of your Barrel-Base de Nouvelle. And then you can activate the effect of the ritual spell with this card, ritual summoning out Barrel-Base de Nouvelle, to add a recipe ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for Recette de Poison. So then you'll add your meat recipe to your hand, and then being able to use this card to tribute monsters to then summon out that other additional ritual monster. You can either go for the additional ritual search of another one you may have in your hand. That's where the additional normal summon comes in handy, because then you'll get the search of the monster you wish to then summon out if you have the play. But also with your Barrel-Base de Nouvelle, if it's special summon, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck and add 1 excavated Nouvelle's card, giving you that search for that potential ritual monster that you may need off of that play as well. And then when a card effect is activated that targets this card on the field, or when it's targeted for an attack, you contribute it and when attack position monster on the field to special summon 1 level 2 or lower Nouvelle's ritual from your hand or deck. So then if your opponent goes for the attack or target, you can then use this effect to summon out the Conferis de Nouvelle and then destroy a spell or trap your opponent may have on the field with this card. And then also when it's targeted for an attack or effect, having the same tribute play, taking out your opponent's monsters in the same fashion as well. Then if you go for the ritual summon of one of your bigger monsters like your Balgré de Nuval, you can can use this card to target attack which monster your opponent controls, tribute it, and then this will give you the special summon of your main go-to monster in the deck, which is your Hungry Burger. And then this setup all comes down to if you can set up, let's say it's revealed off of one of the activated cards you used off of your Burrow base, and then having that special summon of Hungry Burger while this card was either excavated or in your graveyard to tribute your opponent's additional monsters. Otherwise, you have a counter trap to use against your opponent while controlling the Nouvelles monster. And additionally, if you had another monster special summon off of your barrel-based Nouvelle on the field, and additional negate and destruction as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy it. Like I said, it's one crazy deck that I didn't think we would ever actually get. Pretty awesome that we did, and one of the more fun decks to build from the Wild Survivors set. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.